nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call for a roll call.
Covert,
Here.
Crowner,
Here.
Johnson,
Here.
Lees,
Here.
Young.
Here.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Support.
Motion and support. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We have a consent agenda consisting of 6 items.
Motion to approve is presented. Support.
Motion and support. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We'll go directly into our council and staff reports. Greg?
Thank you, Your Honor. A couple things. I'm going to put together some work days for the plantings along the trail, which, do they arrive today, Chase? Nope. They should be arriving any day now, and for City Hall, and then we're going to go out and weed the prairie at Pat Klein Park. ISU professor volunteered to come down. Master gardeners will be participating, as well as Sam Hollinsworth with Prairie Roots. So we're looking forward to getting that done. And if you use that this app, you can see what kind of prairie plants are growing out at the park. It works well even on small plants. Went and tried it out. Ben Brink had requested a left turn lane on Gear. Sent that information out. I was going to move forward with that unless there was objection from council. SCC concurred. We didn't have any issues with it at the staff level, and that was adding a short turn lane into that first property on the south and east side of Gear Avenue as you cross Highway 34. The property that he owns at that location, to make it more marketable and hopefully get that developed.
Is there a way we can get a copy of that, Greg?
You have it?
I mean the distance, because like how many cars are going to be able to stack up in that, because that's an awful short distance there. And
turning left, it won't be a big deal. And the ones turning into, they had the engineer review it. All the information was in your update, and SEC was okay with the small reduction in their stacking. Had it as you head north, turning left into the SEC property. I think it was 2 cars that would be that stacked turning into Ben Brink's property on the south and west side of the highway. So let me know if you have any questions. The materials were in your update. And the mural, looking forward to moving forward with the mural. She's going to try one additional color palette and adding some definition to the fireworks, which not everybody gets that they're fireworks, including myself originally. But it's got, every time you look at it, you see new and additional things. You've got trails, you've got swings, you've got bike racks, you've got butterflies, you've got plants, you've got the U.S. flag, you've got fireworks, sparklers, all kinds of great things. It's a pretty cool mural. So I encourage you to take another quick look at it, and I'll send out the additional color palette when that comes forward. So otherwise, we'll get moving on it.
I think that'd be helpful to designate the fireworks, because I just thought it was a flower blooming. I kept looking at that, I'm like, where
I
do you
did
see
too.
fireworks in that?
I thought it was a plant first, but
Okay.
I was corrected by Kelly and
Well, we're on the
Elizabeth
same
and
page.
a couple
'cause
others
it-
as well.
You think of
So-
fireworks as red, white, and blue, and
she's gonna add more definition to the fireworks. So
that would be helpful.
yes. So that's all I have for tonight, Your Honor.
Thank you.
I don't really have a good update on the bridge for West Mountain Avenue. They're supposed to have a meeting tomorrow, and she'll give me a definitive date of when they're supposed to be open. She was hoping in a couple weeks, but she'll know better tomorrow. So, and been working on the pool. It's filling it up right now as we speak, so it should be ready by the end of the week. So that's all I got.
Thank you. Jesse?
We got applications out for police department. Still looking for a couple officers. And then fire department, we did a joint training with Burlington Fire on Monday. It was the second one for this spring for another shift. Again, we worked on vent, enter, isolate, search, fire attack, searching, that kind of stuff. It went really well. We had Burlington's whole shift out here. I think there's 13 of them, and then we had 10 from us, so there's over 20 of us out there working again on Monday for several hours, so it went really well again.
Thank you.
Jesse, just a quick question on the consent agenda. We had 3 members of the fire department who are no longer members now. Was there any feedback as to, did they misunderstand the requirements or anything?
No, just lack of communication with them, sent text messages and just trying to find out, they've always known the rules and regulations about getting your physical done and all that, and they just didn't comply this year, so.
One of them did move. One of them moved.
Yeah.
Out of city limits. So that was.
So they would have been
Yeah.
disqualified anyway
Yeah.
because of that? Okay. Thank you.
Angie, anything? Nope. Kelly? Go to council reports then. Start with Melanie.
Thanks. It seems like a lot longer ago, but it was just under 2 weeks ago, we had the Iowa Sustainable Community back briefings last week Thursday, or 2 weeks ago Thursday, downtown Burlington, about 7, 8 different subjects. And I think based on feedback I've had with many of you who went there, it was great. We got a lot of good ideas, and energy was put forth by the students who presented to us. And now it's on us to do the next step, and that to do something with it. So I guess let's not forget the good time, what we learned, the work we did with the students over the last 2 semesters, because a lot of us worked with them in different capacities. We don't want these plans and ideas to just be things on the shelf. We want the good that came out of the collaboration to execute, and that's our job with leaders. We paid for it, we got it, now let's do something, so.
So I understand those university students would have graduated this past week.
Believe so, and I think we get the hard copy documents 1st of June yet.
First of
Coming
June.
up, yeah,
Any
right.
day now, they should be updated to the website, and we'll be able to download and get copies of all that and their materials. So, yes, I checked today, they weren't up.
Okay, good,
But,
just don't want,
I was communicating with Travis last week, they should be up anytime now.
and Greg, are we gonna get the graphics that they prepared for us out so they're available to the public, so we can see
I
them?
ran out of time, I was going to put the ones that we have right outside City Hall's door here, I'm going to put them up in the hallway so people can have them, and then the additional ones will get printed out and put up on boards. We've got some stencils to get the main ones out and put them down the hallway, people can take a look at too, and obviously we'll put them out on the website and social media as well.
Super, just so we have it, so it's our incident.
I want to get it all done tomorrow.
Super, that's
Let's find a
great.
way.
Good, and this weekend we got a lot of fun things going on in the community. Hope you get to participate if it's the St. Gallen Criterion going on or Kiwanis Breakfast Saturday morning, so that's all, thanks.
Trace?
I don't have anything.
Okay.
I know it.
John?
Oh, I'll piggyback on what Melanie had to say. We did have a good turnout down there at the convention thing that we had, but, it's our job here now to prioritize those things. And, the tree doesn't exactly grow a lot of money, and it's our job here to prioritize what we saw and pick and choose. And so some of that stuff I'm sure is going to get done. Some of that stuff may have to get done years down the road. So, yeah, that's all I had to say.
Okay. Andy?
3 quick things. A couple more 4th of July donations have come in from Ritter's Garden Center, Schottenkirk, Burlington Trailways, and Derby Furniture. So if you see them, please thank them for their donation. We're still looking for more groups and local clubs and organizations to do raffle ticket sales between now and July 4th. So if you have somebody interested, please reach out. That's how we fund the event, and then half that money goes back to the group that sells them, so it's a pretty easy fundraiser at no cost. And then finally, the Art Center has partnered with us, so they are going to come out on July 4th and be under the big white tent from 12 to 3. They're doing a couple different projects, mostly kid-oriented, but a few older adult things this year. And so that'll be out in the tent from 12 to 3 on the 4th of July. Thank you.
Nothing, Your Honor. Okay, thank you.
Hey, Ringo, how's the parade going?
Well, so far, I have got some contacts back from our local representatives and our supervisors and, of course, the law enforcement, but I haven't had too many parade entries, and we need some of those, you know. So we got, hopefully the pressure will be put on in the next 30 days that some people start coming in. So if anybody's wanting to be in the parade, please get online there and fill out the forms for us.
And what's the
Appreciate
entry fee, Ringo?
it.
Pretty economical
Yeah,
advertising,
yeah,
isn't
yeah.
it?
Well, I have a couple items. One, I've still working on my Student Advisory Council project. I have kind of narrowed it down to 3 items that I'd like to be able to have the students that would be a part of this participate in, and that would be service, leadership, and then public involvement. So hopefully by fall I'll have something I can present to the schools and see if we can get something like that started. I also would like to commend Mark Crooks. Mark is our building inspector, and he was called out on a call, and in the process of meeting with the owner, she was having a heart attack, so he convinced her and her chauffeur to go to urgent care, and they immediately took her to the emergency room. So she called and said that she believed that he had saved her life. So I do commend him for his work on that. With that, I believe we have some people here who would be interested in speaking to us for citizen inquiries. I do remind the council that we've already approved the banners for the city of West Burlington, but I know that there's people who want to speak on that. So if you'd come up, that microphone should work just fine. So.
If you will indulge me here, I will read. It's mostly to protect you from my rambling, but it's all good things. So, good evening. Thanks for having us here. My name is Mac Holford. If you remember, I'm a West Burlington resident, but also a member of the Greater Burlington Leadership class this year. And as you may remember, we were just here about a month ago where we approved the banner designs for West Burlington, and that project just completed. And we actually just graduated the class a couple weeks ago today. So. Councilman Johnson actually invited me here in a Facebook exchange that we had so that we could get some context and kind of go through some of his maybe concerns on the project regarding 2 of the 58 banners. And so we're just here to kind of shed a little light and expand on the vision of the project a little. In our online exchange, Councilman Johnson stated that we don't need banners depicting the public library or Snake Alley. To quote, "If the banners are to show off our town, then do exactly that. That should not be too much to ask." The banner project was created to celebrate both Burlington and West Burlington individually, but also as a part of one Greater Burlington. The final result of the project was 122 total banners, 58 of those being placed in West Burlington. 4 of those 58 have kids' artwork front and back. To involve the community, we invited local 4th graders to submit artwork showing their favorite place or memory in Greater Burlington. When we started this project, we met with Greg to discuss his wish list for the banners. His one criteria was that the winning art being hung in West Burlington should all be drawn by West Burlington students. The 2 banners Councilman Johnson is referring to are winners of this art contest, and I do have them here today. One drawing features the public library and the other Snake Alley. These banners are a part of a rotating seasonal set and will only be displayed for 4 months out of the year annually. During the jury selection process, the committee did discuss the geographical locations of both of these drawings. We decided that they were both part of a broader effort to uplift the places that matter to the people who live and visit West Burlington. But we didn't just come here to defend some artwork. We're here to speak to a larger point that Greater Burlington is one shared community as a whole. And on that note, I did do a little bit of homework. I reached out to Brittany Jacobs, director of the public library, and as of May 16th, just a few days ago, 1,638 West Burlington residents hold an active library card at the public library. For perspective, that does amount of more than 50% of the West Burlington population, and has no way of tracking the library members who don't need a card to do the free services. I also asked for a report using Placer AI, which showed that between May 2024 and today, 903 visitors to Snake Alley stayed here in West Burlington at the American, which I thought was an interesting statistic, and I think that does help paint a clear picture. A West Burlington student calling the Burlington Public Library their favorite place isn't a misstep, it's a sign of connection and opportunity. Snake Alley attracting visitors who stay in West Burlington hotels is proof that we all benefit when we promote this region together. We want to emphasize the class that while we might be two cities, we are just one community, and a community that is greater together. Last but not least, Council Johnson also wrote on Facebook that the fact is we should put stuff on the flags to promote us. Burlington won't be putting the mall, hospital, or Walmart on there and then putting West Burlington under it. I truly believe we should promote West Burlington in West Burlington. And he added, if Burlington decides to put those flags up that I just mentioned, I could change my mind. And I have great news for you. While we believe that promoting Greater Burlington is promoting West Burlington, I come with a solution. After speaking with Burlington City Manager Chad Bird, he asked if I would design a banner to specifically promote West Burlington. To quote his email, I am willing to go to great lengths to bring us all together. So tonight, I do have the first draft of a new banner design that I've been working on that will hang on Jefferson Street in downtown Burlington and invite residents on their way out to their next stop should be West Burlington. This is obviously up for interpretation and feedback, so open to critiques there. But the opposite side of this banner is going to feature SEC. With over 2,000 students, the campus is a staple in the community here in West Burlington, and we're actually excited that the interaction happened and allowed us to revisit the project and include SEC in the banner designs because we think we should have originally. Finally, with me tonight are individuals who share this goal, leaders in education, the arts, public services, and some of the leadership class. We're all here because we care deeply about the region, not as two separate towns, but as one vibrant, interwoven community. And that's the spirit that we aim to reflect in not only the banner project, but in the work that we all continue to do together. Thank you.
Hi, thank you. Would you like a reply?
Huh?
Would you like a reply?
Yeah, if you have one, I would love one.
I would love to give one.
Yes. I was going to bring you this, but go ahead.
I want that too. So if it wouldn't have been for those comments, we probably wouldn't have got that down in Burlington.
Yeah, and yeah.
And that's my point.
Yep.
Okay, and it's happened many, many times prior to, and not just with the banners, but other things. Some of the chamber stuff that's advertised is, isn't as much of Burlington, West Burlington as we've discussed it in other meetings. And I would like to also say that part of the comment that you didn't read that was in my comment was, I'm not saying we can't deal with being partners and being sharing. And I did say that. And I said we do share a lot of stuff. We share our EMS, we share police, we share, we work together. And
Right.
I'm not saying not do that. What I was saying on those flags, and I'll make it perfectly clear what I was saying, is up here in West Burlington, we got a little spot, small spot that all our flags are going to be on, and that should be promoting us because as West Burlington, because we have not that much to put those flags. And if Burlington was willing to do just exactly what you are, then maybe we could do that.
Sure.
So if I will be doing this a lot more if that's the kind of results we get.
Well, our messaging is just that promoting Greater Burlington as a whole is promoting West Burlington. There isn't I doubt most of the people that live here or in Burlington could tell you where on earth the city's separate. And so that's really our messaging, is that we are, I know Greg and Chad especially, and a lot of the city council and a lot of the city employees on both sides are doing a lot of work to keep both communities connected, and you do share a lot of things, to your point. And I think all of us just want to see that continue in the great work that's happening with all of the art that's coming to West Burlington, and, you know, all of those types of things. So I think it's just good to see that.
And we could share when it's the right thing to share with. We don't have to share just to share. We can share when it's the right things to share. And I'm okay with that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'd like to say something. I appreciate your lady, the team's hard work in getting this stuff, you know, for the community. And I understand what you're saying, and it is appreciated.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
And in some good news to end on, I did order the banners, and they are on the way. They're being made right now. So hopefully your banners will be up. I know the deadline that I gave them, which I think is way out in the future for them, is that we want them up by 4th of July. So I assume we'll have them a lot sooner than that, though.
Mac, if you're an example of our future leadership, we're in good hands. Thank you. Thanks for coming. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Can we steal that for our logo?
Mrs. Teeter, I'll recognize you as our library liaison.
Yes. Well, I'm actually acting, I guess, maybe in that capacity, but I was contacted by Brittany and asked to share this letter related to the banner. And so it might sound redundant, but it says, West Burlington City Council. On behalf of West Burlington residents, the West Burlington City Council has for many years signed a 28E agreement with the Burlington Public Library Board of Trustees, contracting for full library access. As of May 16th, 2025, as you've heard, 1,638 West Burlington residents have active library cards with the Burlington Public Library. That's over half of the city's population. This figure does not take into account the West Burlington residents who actively use the library without having a library card, attending programs, participating in summer reading, using the meeting rooms, or lounging in the library's gathering areas. Though the BPL is a municipal library, we serve the greater Burlington area, extending not only into Des Moines County, but into all of southeast Iowa and Illinois. The ability to contract for library services has saved the city of West Burlington millions of dollars annually. With the fiscal year 25 allocation of $51,497, or $16 per capita, West Burlington residents received access to a multi-million-dollar resource. A city the size of West Burlington would not be able to host such a large and robust library, but thanks to the intercity partnership, we are all beneficiaries of a world-class institution. Pooling our resources and sharing in our services makes our communities stronger. And thanks to the West Burlington liaison, Rebecca Teeter, West Burlington has a seat at the table for our monthly board meetings. Many West Burlington residents contributed to the capital campaign that got our beautiful 55,000 square foot facility built, in addition to giving annually to our Friends and Foundation nonprofits. Several of the staff are West Burlington residents and help to make this place the thriving community center that it is. I hope that West Burlington residents and council members are proud to call the Burlington Public Library their own, as we work tremendously hard to make this library a welcoming place for all. The Burlington Public Library is honored to be highlighted in one of the West Burlington students' drawings for the newly installed downtown banners. We are proud to serve West Burlington, and partnerships like ours showcase how much better we are together. And that's from Brittany Jacobs, the library director.
So is that because of the email too, or the Facebook thing?
Yes,
Directly.
and she had contacted me and asked if I would be attending tonight and if I would share that with you, and I said I'd be glad to share that letter.
So does the library share with Mediapolis and other parts of the community?
There are other communities around who do contract with the Burlington Public Library.
Why didn't we mention them tonight?
Danville does not yet, but there are, Des Moines County, which is I guess, unincorporated areas of Des Moines County do.
I mean, it wasn't just West Burlington and Burlington that built that library, it's the county and the other communities too. So in that letter, you should have kind of mentioned them that they share equally as West Burlington.
Well, I think,
Yeah.
well, she mentions that they serve, but
Thank you.
I'm sharing the letter. I do not have a library report. You mentioned that. I believe Brittany submitted a written report for the city council. Is that not the case?
She's going to, at the end of the pool season, we talked about doing that to kind of get update on the summer reading program.
Okay, so she didn't send one for,
Not that I've seen, unless you sent it to Greg.
because I thought she was going to, so I do not have a
That's okay.
report prepared.
Could I have you do a little
Prepared, I mean.
legwork for me? I had reached out to Brittany, I think probably 3 weeks ago, and I never heard a reply back.
About,
I was interested in seeing if they would be willing to sell raffle tickets either at the front counter or I know they go to the Thursday night farmers markets. And I thought that would be a good fundraiser for them. All they would have to do is sell the tickets. It's no cost to them. So I was just surprised I received no reply at all.
do you want me to contact the president of the Friends of the Library? Because
Whoever
that-
you feel would be appropriate, that would work for me.
Because they are a group that raises money for the
Yeah.
library. And
Yeah, just seemed like an easy one. They're set up there already, and we used to have a group that sold at the farmers markets and don't now. Or, of course, they're at the front desk at the library would be pretty easy as well.
I will contact Brittany, and I will contact the president of the Friends of the Library.
Excellent, thank you.
I want to add one more thing. We pay a due for the library. And it's not that I wasn't appreciative of the library. It was, I believe, and I still believe, that in West Burlington, when the banners were there, just like Burlington was up until she talked to them, banners for Burlington should have been Burlington, banners in West Burlington, or West Burlington. Because of that, we get this, that we can advertise a little bit in Burlington now. So if the library is in a situation where they want to call me out on this, like, I don't care, like if we don't appreciate the library, because that's kind of what it sounds like, that's not the case. And I want to make that perfectly clear. Okay? Thank you.
I will say that. It's my understanding that the banner was designed by a West Burlington student, however. Is that not the case?
Yeah, and it'd be interesting to
Someone who was
see,
really
it would be
impressed.
interesting to see what the students were told to how design. You know, if it was designed something from West Burlington, or if it was something in Burlington, or something from the region, you know, they probably did what they were told. So,
It sounded
know,
like it was just
yeah.
something that they really liked
Thought
about
about. Yeah.
the area, and I'm glad a child chose the library, West Burlington Library. I think of it as ours.
And
But
as many as
that's-
open enroll students, that could have been something that was from a West Burlington resident or a Burlington resident, because there's very many open enrolled people in Burlington and West Burlington, from Burlington. So, you know, hey, it's just my opinion, and I stand by it. Thank
I know,
you.
John, but the Burlington Public Library does a lot to serve a lot of the West Burlington residents, kids. like
And
that.
I agree with
They
that.
have a lot of programs throughout the year.
I
They also
agree.
have programs for senior citizens on how to work their electronic devices, like your phone.
Yeah. Yeah, and we have,
They
and we
service
pay a
everybody.
fee for that to access that, and
I just
I-
feel like you're trying to penalize the kids, and the kids shouldn't be penalized for what they bring.
no, it's not, nothing to do with the kids. Has absolutely zero to do with the
So
kids.
one of the students, two of the students drew Snake Alley, and the other one drew Public Library.
I think she said that they asked them to draw for the greater Burlington area, which is composed everything, John. is
Yeah,
what she
so
asked them
that's
to do.
probably why they did the banner. And they did what they were told to do, the greater Burlington.
I don't think you have a fourth grader that could distinguish between where the city limit lines are between Burlington and West Burlington. to know what they like about their community.
Yeah. But it's not what the kids did. It's what should be posted out here.
I'm wondering if we might move on. We probably have covered this subject, I think, to the point of. Okay. And again, I thank the people that have done the presentations and so forth. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky.
We have some old business that we need to cover at this point. We need to consider a first reading of an ordinance setting water rates. A proposal.
Well, do you guys want to discuss this since we didn't have our work session? Kind of clue us in.
The ordinance that's included in the packet shows a 3.6% increase over the current rate structure. So we did not change the flat rate base. We went through different scenarios, and I don't think we could satisfy the intent of what we discussed at the last meeting as far as how adjusting it to affect the residents versus the higher users. This proposed ordinance also just removes the top 2 tiers of the rate scale, which were only used by maybe one customer, and not all 4 rate scales are used every month. The other item that we did increase was the monthly charge per user unit, which was $10, and that had not been changed since we initiated that charge many years ago. So
That
this
affects.
would be the first time that we would change that.
That affects multi-res and
The trailer parks.
trailer parks and some larger commercial that have more than 1 meter.
The units that have more than 1 meter will have the minimum meter charge per meter. So this really is for the individual units in apartment complexes, residential units.
So do we have any paperwork to show us what those costs are?
We can run through the information with you that we talked about the other day, but and show you how the different, I guess, you can play with any number of rates. So, with water, you can include, $17 base rate, you can include a $10 base rate, you can change the rates on the other side of the equation, on the per 1,000 gallons. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter which one you change, or if you change both, it simply doesn't work. With our current rate structure, it needs to be completely restructured if you want to go that direction. It adversely affects most of your users, your middle users, and it decreases cost the low-end user and the high-end users. And so it simply doesn't work with our current rate structure. So if we want to go that direction in the future, we need to completely reconstruct our rate structure, probably an inclining scale, and take a look at it in that fashion. So what we're recommending is simply the 3.6% increase, the per unit change from $10 to $13, and dropping the 2 highest rates, which really only affected 1 user. So, and to get that done now, if you want to look at a more comprehensive approach, which completely restructures our rates, we can do that at a later date, but it simply doesn't work under our current structure.
So do we have a chart or rate that this does? Your proposal?
It's the same, I'm sorry.
And how much does it generate and all that?
It's gonna generate what we need to match what Angie has budgeted to receive in revenues for fiscal year 25-26.
Okay, so how much is that? It'd be a lot easier if I have a sheet in front of me here. If we don't, can we just postpone this till next meeting?
I'd request that you approve the first reading, because you can always change it at any one of the readings if you need to.
We're under some sort of a time crunch on this, are we
We do
not?
Case readings, unless you're willing to waive the third and final reading.
Is it the same data that we went over last
It's gonna-
time?
yeah, it's
It's
gonna be-
option A, is it option A on the
It's
data?
option C.
Excuse me, option C.
It would, this is it's gonna generate the,
54,000, yeah, $54,302.
that's what we
That we
need.
need, so
We need an
55,000.
additional
I don't have that.
54,000, but it's gonna generate 55,000 approximately. These are based on averages. Katie's numbers are very based on averages, so it's not gonna be exactly matched. But, yeah, it's gonna generate the additional revenue that we need, 55,980 more than what we collected this year.
You got a chart there in front of you? Can I
This is
see
from
that?
last time, our last meeting.
Last time.
But it's these
Option
exact
C.
figures?
Option C, correct?
Option C,
So
yeah.
that's option C.
Yeah. Is this the exact figure?
Within,
that's-
within the usage difference, though.
The figure that Katie figured here, when I did this chart last week, it still had the top 2 tiers in it, in the numbers, because I couldn't figure out how to get the top 2 tiers out of her formula, but
So you'll just leave it at 1479 per thousand after 3,000. So if I use 4,010 gallons, am I going to get charged for, is that prorated for those
you're gonna
10
pay
gallons?
you're gonna pay the base.
Yep.
The connection charge, and then
1,000.
The other 1479 for the next 1,000, but I went 15 gallons over
you're
4,000,
only
so
gonna pay
does
for
it,
the 1,500 gallons that you went over the 3,000.
15, not 1,500, just 15 gallons.
Oh, 15 gallons.
Yes,
I
yes.
just said 4,000.
No, well, I used 4,015 gallons.
Oh.
So those 15 gallons is going to put me into the next 1479?
But only for those 15 gallons.
The 3,000
Yep.
won't, but the 1,015 will be 1479.
3,001 gallon, that 1 gallon's gonna be at 1479, all the way up to 4,015 gallons.
Yeah, but Teresa's asking, is she paying for a full 1,000 gallons or only the 15
gallons that I
gallons?
went over the 4,000. That's what I
But the
want.
4,000, where are you getting the 4,000?
Don't worry about that part.
Don't worry about that, just the 15 gallons, what's
Just
the
the
rate on
15 gallons, push you
Oh,
over
it's
into the
a
next.
it's prorated. You take the 1,000,
Which
divide
means-
it by,
1479?
yeah.
So I'm still going to pay for my 15 gallons.
No,
off,
you're
so I'm
not,
done-
we're
but-
not, you're not rounding up to the,
Okay,
Higher number.
The next
Higher
1,000.
that's what I was.
Unit price for 15 gallons, so what is that, .014 cents? So 15 times .014 will be what you pay for that extra 15 gallons.
Okay, because I didn't want to pay for
No, it
1,000
doesn't.
gallons if
It's
I
not
only use
just right-
15.
It's not that, it's prorated down
Okay.
to the.
It's the same, essentially the same rate structure we have now. With those 2 changes, the top 2 tiers, which basically affects 1, occasionally 2 users, and tweaking the per unit for multi-resin and trailer parks. But it's the same rate structure you have now. So we need a comprehensive rewrite if you're looking to go the other direction, and that's what we can talk about that if you want to go that direction, or if you want to keep the same structure going forward. It just simply doesn't work. The sewer rates, if you recall, have always been a flat rate, or excuse me, have always had one rate, whereas water is a tiered rate structure. And when you plug in those numbers on either side of the equation, it simply doesn't work, and it puts a disproportionate increase on the middle users, the vast majority of our users, and decreases the low end and high end users significantly. So it just simply doesn't work.
So tell me what a person's that uses 2,900 gallons of water, their water bill's gonna be, because I don't see it here.
It's gonna be $35.09.
Okay,
Greg, I also want to say.
no other cost.
Correct.
Sorry, John.
Okay, that's what okay, great.
I want to say thanks a lot for the staff to make themselves available for this whole week. For any time one of us wanted to come in and look at the chart and go over it with you, thank you very much. I do appreciate your help doing that.
Anytime, appreciate it.
Mr. Mayor, I motion to approve the first reading.
I second.
Motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
We're gonna do a roll
Aye.
call.
Okay,
Crowner,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Lees,
Aye.
Young,
Aye.
Covert.
Aye.
Motion carries. Second point of old business, we are considering the first reading of the ordinance setting the sewer rates.
Motion approved.
Support.
Motion support. We've discussed this one many times. Let's have a roll call.
Johnson,
Aye.
Lees,
Aye.
Young,
Aye.
Covert,
Aye.
Crowner.
Aye.
Motion carries. First item of new business. We're considering a resolution in support of an application for workforce housing tax credits to support the construction of 19 single-family homes.
Your Honor?
Yes.
I might. You've got several things in your package tonight. You've got a memo from myself. You've got the resolution of support. You've got the letter of request from the developer. You've got a draft of the workforce tax credit city form. The state now requires cities to prepare the information in that attached form rather than the developer. That's attached as well as a sample of what the homes may look like as well. Are all in your packet. We have Mr. Kevin Fitro, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, with us tonight via Zoom. But again, the request tonight is, if you follow my memo, is for 19 homes, workforce housing tax credit project off of Pennington Street. You'll see the request in the 1,000 minimum and local matching that we work on a development agreement. Developers has received 5,000 per unit from cities such as Waterloo and Waverly in the past. A TIF spreadsheet, as I had provided, easily accommodates that, even with the LMI set aside that the city would be able to utilize for projects in the future. And so we are excited to have Panther Development, or specifically Big Hand Pepper LLC, specifically for this project, here tonight, and looking to put in a single-family, 19 single-family home workforce housing tax credit project. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Fitro. Can you hear us, Kevin?
Yeah, yep, you hear me okay?
Anything you'd like to add?
All right, no, I just wanted to make sure we were available for any questions. We've had, as Greg has said, and I appreciate everything Greg has done to help us and bring this opportunity, to us there in West Burlington. We've had very good success with Waterloo, with Waverly. Brent has another company called Merge, where he's been involved with other cities with multifamily units. And I think that's how the conversation started with Greg. But in looking at it, the design that was there for 19 single-family unit homes that I think, had come across the council in past years, maybe without success at the state level. But we feel like, especially with the write-up that Greg's put in front of you for this state, we have a very good chance at winning. Which would bring homes into your area in that 320, well, probably 350 price point. I could keep rambling about our success and the program and things, but I want to make sure I hit on your questions, so I will turn it over to you.
A question, of the 19 homes, what do you think the combination of, let's say the 1,000 square foot, I believe, is the smaller size, to larger size, 1,400 square foot, like 2 and 17, or, and those sizes, are they 2, 3, 4 bedroom? I don't know.
Yes, no, the 1,000 square foot is actually, it's 1,000 on the main, but typically when we've built that one, and of the plans that you see there, that's probably been the least selected, even though it's the most competitive price point. But when we have built it, we've actually added the basement finish, so it's 2-bedroom up, 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 2-bath up. Then we add another bedroom and bathroom downstairs with about 500 square foot finished. So it becomes a 1,500 square foot home. Is probably $15,000 to $20,000 less than the others, But again, that smaller main level square footage is probably the biggest reason that we see it being selected the least often. On average, we see the 1,320 square foot home. Then it has the ability for another 800 square foot down in the basement. So you do have the opportunity for a 2,000, 2,100 square foot home in that area.
Gotcha. And just looking at the renderings, these all look like single-car garage or two-car garage?
There are two-car garage.
Oh, okay.
It's just, I think one of the unique things about these floor plans that we've seen very good success with up here is the fact that it's not a dominated front of garage, 2-stall, 3-stall garage. That garage sits back 15 feet. So it almost, if you go back to older homes that I grew up in, where that garage sat back, front porch forward living, long driveway, you could put a basketball hoop on the drive, on the garage itself, have a, very good play space for the kids. It's been a very popular selection and design for us. But it is a two-car.
Two-car, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to thank you for being here and working with us. Our community needs single-family homes. Our school needs new families coming in to help support their tax base. We need it to help support our tax base in the future. And our employers continue to tell us they need homes for their employees. So thank you very much for working with the city of West Burlington.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the opportunity. We've been around for 13 years. In my 4 years here with this company, we've won a tax credit every year. Last year we won 3. So we're very hopeful that this could be an opportunity we can bring to you.
And I kind of like to echo that. Greg says that you're a great person, so I'm going to have to say that, go along with that. But I think this is a very small price to get 19 new homes in our area or in our town. It's much needed. As Andy said, the school district will benefit, and so will it all the way around. Just thank you.
Yep, nope, appreciate it, and thank you again.
I have one more question. Once you find out if the tax credits are approved this year, and is that in July that you get that, or do you know when you find out?
Applications are due June 10th, and we typically don't hear until mid-September.
Oh, wow, that late. Okay.
Yep. So for us, it's likely a spring, would be a spring development next year if we would win.
Okay, and assuming you would win, what's your timeline in your mind? How would it work? What's your time?
Bringing in Start Streets in the spring of next year. It's a small cul-de-sac, so does not take, it's not like it's 3-4 streets where it takes us half a year to put the development in. So I'm hoping development's in 4 months. By late summer, early fall, hope to be building houses.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
I'd motion to approve the resolution.
Support.
Motion and support, thank you. Roll call, please.
Lees.
Aye.
Young.
Aye.
Covert.
Aye.
Crowner.
Aye.
Johnson.
All right.
Motion carries. Thank you very much, appreciate your information, and
Thank you
we look forward to working with
for
you.
joining us.
Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Number 2, consider the first reading of an ordinance amending Chapter 25 of the Municipal Code concerning the creation and composition of the Animal Hearing Board.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to motion to approve with several amendments to this. I would like to strike that last sentence of the city council ruling on these matters in the absence of the Animal Hearing Board and make sure we have an Animal Hearing Board. So I'd like to strike that sentence and move this to 3 members instead of 5. And change in that at least 1 member representing the Humane Society vet profession or a related profession be included out of those 3 members?
Do they have to be resident of West Burlington or not at that point?
I believe we have the same in there as we do now. The residents of city, Des Moines County are within 2 miles, but just move that to 3 so we're able to fill that easier. My understanding is we're having trouble getting people to serve on that.
From what I understand, it's primarily because people do not want to have to make that kind of a decision on the animal.
Yeah, I kind of second that. That's why I don't want that last sentence added to this.
Added to us?
I don't think it's very fair to ask this body to be the ones that step in. I also think it's pretty important that somebody that has some actual experience from a vet side or some similar profession be on that board to be able to make that decision, because I don't have that expertise.
Randy, in my past, and Chief Logan probably could say something too on this, I would appreciate it, but when we've had problems in the past with the vets, they really do not like being involved in it because of business transactions afterward of their decision-making.
Yeah, same.
But I feel that I would accept the responsibility to have to do this because of, not having the volunteers, and this part of being, I guess, on the council, but been involved in several incidents in the past where people have gotten bitten or animals have been killed by another animal. And, I know we're all lovers of animals up here, and most of us have canines, dogs. It's a sad situation at CSUN, and I myself would not like to see an animal leave this area to go in another area to harm another animal or a person. And if I can prevent that from happening, I would do it.
I think it's very important, but that is my motion. I feel it's best for that body, and I think that's the way to adjust that resolution to make it easier to get an animal board that can actually function.
And a council member would meet the criteria for 1 or 2 positions actually on that, per your suggestion, so.
So my motion stands.
Well, before you,
I second that. Yeah, if you need a second.
do we really have to have a vet? Because I just heard that it's going to be very hard to get one. So what if we don't get a vet?
That's why I'm opening it up, saying either somebody from the Humane Society, somebody in the veterinary profession, or any related profession, which I think we spoke about animal control, or a retired vet, or somebody that has some experience in that, being on that board.
Could be retired police, too.
Yeah, could be.
Right.
All right, I have a motion and a second for amendment by Councilman Crowner.
Yeah, I second it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I'm good with that. We just got to find
All
it.
right. Do you need a few minutes to contemplate, or shall I just call for a vote?
Well, I'm not sure if I understand. Is this for just West Burlington, or is this for the whole county?
This
Is
is
this for,
West Burlington.
so we're going to have 3 in West Burlington? Or can the one from the county tag to this?
Sure.
I guess is what I'm trying to.
So our current code has that they're either in West Burlington, in Des Moines County, or within 2 miles. So I'm not changing that
Okay.
by my amendment,
But you're decreasing the size of the
from 5 to 3.
3.
So any 3 people in that whole area could do this, not even somebody from West Burlington.
The code says within 2 miles of the city limits of West Burlington, so it's not the whole county, it's within 2 miles. And I'm just saying right now, I've had 0 people come to me and want to be on this board that fit this criteria. And I feel it should be the responsibility of the city council, if we can't have a board, that it's your responsibility as the members voted in by the city people, that you should take the responsibility
I
of
greatly
this.
disagree. We're here to write code and how things happen, not vote on these specific issues. And it's going to make every animal issue that comes up be a public spectacle that now is a political issue and a professional issue for those of us that are working. And it's putting it in front of this body is not what this body is here for. We're here to set the code of what those laws are, and then set a board that goes and does what we say to do. And It sounds like we may have people on this board that want to go be part of this, but I don't think it's this body's, not something that we should be responsible for, sitting here and voting and saying, hey, we're going to kill your dog, and we have to sit here and stand by that in front of on a normal meeting basis, that we're gonna be the ones to do that.
And John, to your concern, the council ultimately has to approve the board membership, so.
The council still makes the final decision.
Yes.
Not the final decision.
On the membership, on the board
On
membership.
Appointed by the
Membership of the
mayor.
board.
Right.
But they're still making that decision.
Appointed
Yes.
by the mayor with approval of the council,
Right.
the position.
And it's not always the decision of killing the dog or just making sure the dog does not come back. I don't know if we can, we had a dog in our area that we worked several times in trying to keep it out of our city limits. And then we went to court several times, and finally there was agreement where that's what happened. But I know Chief Newberry still wasn't satisfied with that because that dog was still a danger to the public, no matter if it was in our community or somebody else's community. I know it is a tough decision, and I just feel like Chief Logan explained, it's hard to get volunteers because they make, there's business decisions that, how it is nowadays. Everybody takes out on the business, and if that vet makes that decision, I've been told by vets myself, they do not like being on the board because of that. They don't like making those type of decisions because it is somebody else's dog.
It sounds like there's two potential candidates, all you need is one more, so, under the proposal, so.
So, and today, we have no board? Or we have a board?
We do not have a board, no.
But nobody's on the board?
We do have a request for a hearing.
We have a request for hearing, which is causing us to
Right.
Yes.
say, hey, we better get a
We
board.
need to get
together.
something done. Just haven't been able to appoint a 5-member board in the past.
For how long have we not had a board? How many years?
3 years.
About 3.
About 3 years, we haven't had a board. And
We've had
have we had issues
had
that?
3 hearings
We've had 3 hearings.
in the last 10 years.
How many?
I think
3.
the last one occurred at Caspian Village, that
Yeah.
we had a dog seriously injured over there by another dog.
It happened on my property.
Yes, yeah. Yeah.
Have a motion and a second on the table here, so. I
This is
will-
with the amendments.
With the amendments,
The
yes.
amendments. 3-member board.
Any objections to us waiving the second, or excuse me, approving the second and waiving the third at the next meeting so that we can schedule the gentleman's request for a hearing? Because you'll have to also get a board established after that. Not,
Objections to that?
Not tonight, right?
no, at the next meeting.
Next,
Next council
one
meeting.
more reading and then, yeah.
I can add it to the
Okay.
agenda, and we can,
You're saying you,
want to vote on it.
At the next council meeting, have the second reading, waive the third and final reading,
So the board will be
And-
in place after.
so that we can
Council.
work
and
on
we
getting.
got, what, 3 people we need then, right?
Yeah, we can do that.
This is my gut feelings. I don't really agree with that, but if there's something we can do promptly and fast, that we get 3 people on, then I would agree to it. Other than that, then I'm gonna, I don't feel comfortable with that and just leaving it hanging out there, trying to find 3 people.
Well-
This, because it needs to be resolved.
Yeah.
What you're gonna do here, if we pass this, you're gonna have every dog advocate or animal advocate come into a meeting,
Yeah.
and if you have a board, it's gonna be those 3 people, not necessarily.
This
the whole-
would be held as a special hearing outside of a council meeting.
Yeah,
Well, the last time, John, we had the board, we did have a lot of people here.
And I understand that.
testified in that board, because I was involved in it, and I think Officer McCampbell, was he also on that? I can't remember the other officers, but I was. And I know Chief Newberry, who retired at that time, was on the board.
I'm okay with this, with the amendments. I'm okay with that.
Councilman, I believe I'm going to ask you if you would serve on that board
I'll do
as
that.
mayor, since that's my prerogative. Okay?
Want Roll call.
Roll call.
Covert,
Based on what the mayor said? Aye.
Crowner,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Lees,
Aye.
Young.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, number 3, consider the first reading of an ordinance amending Chapter 92 of the Municipal Code considering water rates outside the city limits.
Motion to approve?
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion on that one?
We just wanted to make it clear. So if you recall, we established 150% with the HOA subdivisions that we serve. We just wanted to make it clear in the code that it's 150% like we had been doing. We're charged 150% from Burlington. We charge and pass through 150%. The code's not very clear. This makes it perfectly clear that it's 150% of our rate that's passed on to folks outside city limits.
Yeah, this is
Are
just
we currently doing
clarification as
that?
far as I'm concerned.
Yes. Mhm. I'm sorry?
Currently doing that now, right?
With Beaverdale, yes, per their contract and agreement.
We have a different contract with the houses, the sewer.
Right.
Okay, I'll call for a roll call.
Crowner,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Lees,
Aye.
Young.
Aye.
Covert.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 5, consider second reading of an ordinance setting garbage collection rates.
Wait, I think we missed 4.
Did I miss 4? I'm sorry. Consider the first reading of an ordinance amending Chapter 99 of the Municipal Code concerning sewer rates outside the city limits.
So moved.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion? Same sort of thing, I believe, with this one.
We're not currently doing this with the property south?
The sewer rates?
Yeah,
This will be a new structure. Base rate?
yeah.
Right.
But does it have anything to do with the,
We have a different agreement with the residents that are outside of city limits on South.
That's
Yes.
that's a separate,
but is there a contract with them?
yes, we have a contract.
Are we gonna, and is that contract up, or are we gonna bring this?
It's not up.
I'll review the contract terms. For example, the Beaverdale one, I know simply mirrors our rate structure, but at 150%. So I'll check on that one as well. We need to change a few
So
other
should we
things.
wait on that?
No, this doesn't affect that.
Roll call?
Johnson,
Aye.
Lees,
Aye.
Young,
Aye.
Covert,
Aye.
Crowner.
Aye.
Motion carries. Consider the second reading of an ordinance setting the garbage collection rates, which we did last session.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion?
Just an
Seconded that, I'm sorry.
John?
John did.
Just an FYI, I need to give Dennis a call back, but we do have their proposed rates. Our agreement will be coming to an end, and they're requesting 1717 and 1730 or 1750, I don't recall, something to that effect.
17 even.
17 for the first 2 years, and the third year, I believe, was 1730. 1780. Okay. I'll give Dennis a call, have some discussion. We'll be bringing that forward at a later date.
Looking at it, Kelly, the ordinance, it looks like the dates is messed up. The effective date, so July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2025.
Oh,
I think it should say 2026.
yes, it should.
Other than that,
Consider an amendment to that or a friendly?
I think that's just a, yeah.
Ministerial.
Okay.
I'll fix that.
clerical. correct.
Ministerial.
Ministerial, all right. In that case, I'll call for a roll call.
Lees,
Aye.
Young,
Aye.
Covert,
Aye.
Crowner.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 6, consider the second reading of the ordinance setting the recycling rates.
Motion to approve?
Support.
Motion and support. Discussion? Seeing none. Call for a roll call.
Young,
Aye.
Covert,
Aye.
Crowner.
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Lees,
Aye.
Motion carries. Come to number 7. Consider the first reading of an ordinance regulating noise levels and establishing penalties for violations.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion on this?
Oh, I got plenty.
Okay. Jesse, did you have some information that you wanted on this ordinance on the sound, noise, I mean?
I reviewed it several times. It looks pretty good in my opinion. I think it would clear up some of the things that are lacking and help us out in enforcement for some, any issues that would arise from here on out once this gets approved.
Jesse, did you like having the limits set or the general one that has no specific limits?
For like the residential, commercial zones, or?
Yeah. Well, like, we have a general thing, at least in front of us, that's like lays it out but doesn't really say what the decibel limits are. And then we have an alternate section to include noise level limits and noise measurement process. I guess I was kind of assuming we'd have to set those limits and the process for you to be able to
enforce it.
Yeah, to really enforce it.
And if you look at those limits is basically talking some of them limits are, if you look at that. And that is just as crazy as it gets, as far as I'm concerned. There will be no motorcycle that goes through this town that won't be violation. There won't be a car that's a classic car out in my place that would be a violation, or won't be a violation. There won't be a car that comes to our cruise night that will be in violation. And I think we're making a big whoop-de-doo over a couple little things that can be handled in a different situation.
I would like to know what situation or how we can handle these situations when we don't have anything that we can go after them with in reference to violating a law.
Didn't you have an example that we talked about earlier of where if you would have had this ordinance and you could have enforced it?
Yeah, I mean, we don't, right now, we don't have a noise ordinance, so we can't physically make somebody follow a rule that's not there.
Disturbing the peace?
Huh? We don't have a disturbing the peace. That's what a noise ordinance is.
Did this ordinance, is this mirrored from Burlington?
No.
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 These changes were
Last
made,
one was mirrored from Burlington, and that one, we
So
should
I-
scrap that one.
Kelly made these changes based on the comments and feedback from the last discussion.
So I can't be singing on the public streets?
No. not
I can't
really.
whistle on public street?
You just can't whistle very loud.
Duration of 10 minutes.
Whistling for 10 minutes, John.
No,
you
that's
can't
for
do
barking
that.
dogs.
Oh, excuse me, dogs were the 10-minute. There's time limits. To measure the noise, it's, according to this, it has to be measured for a minimum of 5 minutes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that kind of, to me, stops
Can't
you from
measure
a
it.
motorcycle driving by. That's not like a motorcycle parked out in front of your house revving its engine for a solid 10 or 15 minutes.
Then say that.
Well, it's,
Tell me where you
the
wanna say
sound
it.
meter shall be
No,
set
it's
to
not.
measure measurements for minimum duration of 5 minutes. It says it there.
Section
Okay, Section
Section
5,
5, yeah,
halfway, that's the measurement procedure anyway.
duration of 5 minutes.
I think it also comes down to officers' discretion on a lot of this. Let's use the speed limit. Speed limit's 55. How many times has anybody ever been pulled over doing 56 miles an hour, or 57, or 58, or 59? It's very rare. And if it is used, it's normally because something else has been happening. I think in this situation, that's probably the same thing. And also, when I was talking to Chief Logan about the other incident, somebody had on purpose making disturbing noise all night long, and they could not do any enforcement because it was, even though it was disturbing the neighbors, there was no noise ordinance. And that individual later on was taken in custody for other things later on, but still, there was nothing the officers could do that night.
There are two versions. That third page has kind of a different, it has the more detailed section to do the measurement. So you kind of would need to decide which direction you would want that to read.
So the one ordinance is basically page 1 and 2, and a second,
The third page kind of has that, an alternate
Alternate
for
word.
the measuring. And I did look to see like how much the tools were that you could buy to measure them. And there's a huge range of price, including apps on your phone that they claim to be accurate, so they just need to have.
Jesse, I was told that we might have a device already. Do we have one?
I don't recall having a device that measures the decibels.
It'd have to be calibrated anyhow, wouldn't it? Just like a radar unit.
Hmm.
And that officer would have to be standing by with that instrument. It wouldn't be just like, hey, Bob told me it was loud noise, and you could do something. It wasn't, you
You'd
just
have a
couldn't do that.
complaint, wouldn't you?
You would have to follow up, and it had to be on the instrument that's calibrated, because it would, possibility going to court, you would have to take that to court. It wouldn't be just because someone says it was loud. The officer would have to be there with the calibrated instrument to prove that it was loud for that time period.
That section 5 there says this meets standards set by the American National Standards Institute. It's a calibrated sound level meter.
Well, I think this is a lot closer to what I was thinking compared to the last one. Trying to find it, there's a place, under the exceptions, I believe. So page 2, section 5, public events being one of the exceptions. I wonder if we need to spell that out before the final reading. Like, how do you get that exception?
But it's approved by council,
You could say a permitted public event.
so it has to be permitted by the city council.
Yeah.
Maybe that's fine for code, and we just need a form that gets filled out. And,
Right.
when I was running events at Fun City in the beginning, I would apply for a permit from the
Yes.
city, and
We have like a special use permit I could add by a permitted special use event permit.
something. Yeah, there's just got to be a process to it.
Well, I think under the specific prohibitions, you need to remove the barking dogs because that's addressed in another ordinance behind this one.
Well,
Number 8 considers the noisy dogs or cats.
that section, it just
Yes.
says that they should,
Because that's addressed in this other ordinance,
Here's what she's talking.
which I have a lot to speak about. Now, my dogs will bark, especially if the neighbor's cat comes by, or if I got squirrels chasing each other down their highway,
Or if there are chickens next door, huh?
or if the chickens are clucking,
you did it, Ron, I did.
or now the kitties.
I was going to say, we probably need to add other animals than just dogs.
Well, I think you need to take this out of the barking dogs because that's addressed in the next ordinance, number 8.
I don't think 8, though, gives them the ability to enforce it, does it?
Because in the next chapter, 55,
Right.
it asks that there should be more than one complainant, because otherwise you can have the fight again with the Hatfields and the McCoys. It takes more than one complaint to do anything with dogs barking, because if I don't like you, I'm going to complain about your dogs, whether they bark or not.
well, are they barking?
I don't care. I hear them.
I mean, I don't know how you regulate, like,
And how are you going to, 10 minutes? Really? 10 minutes?
well, I'm surprised you don't complain about one of your neighbors, the barking dogs.
Look at me.
My girls bark, but they don't bark for
No,
10
there's
minutes
a-
because I go out with the baseball bat. But at night, I'm a late night person now since I'm retired, and they'll go out and go potty at like 1 o'clock.
I don't think it's a,
Well, it's ludicrous to put a time limit. Who's going to go out there with a stopwatch and time them for 10 minutes?
how long, I don't know.
I don't know where the 10 minutes or the 5 minutes came up, but
That was in there. That was just a,
because I think in the other ordinance where you deleted the things that were required for a complaint of a barking dog need to stay back in. But barking dog shouldn't be addressed here under this because it's on a separate chapter 55.
To the dog thing, number 8 shouldn't even been on this agenda, okay, as far as I'm concerned. We have an ordinance, and it's just fine and dandy. I don't know why it's there. I don't know why we're addressing it. The one we have is perfectly fine. We don't need to start changing this stuff just because somebody wants to change it. There needs to be a reason for that. So, but getting back to 7, where we're at,
If that's the case, John, then we need to remove the barking dogs from this ordinance on noise levels.
and I'm okay with that, but let me get back here.
I'm more concerned about the loose dogs that are running loose and attacking other dogs, and the kitties all over our town. I'm more concerned about that, and more concerned, like, thank you for bringing this up, licensing the animals once again so that we know who they belong to and we can find the people that own these dogs and can't keep them corralled or controlled or leashed. I can't even walk my dogs down Ramsey Street without being accosted by a German Shepherd at this end and a sheepdog at the other end. I'm more concerned about that than a barking dog.
I'll change it,
I have
however
heard
you want
other-
it to read.
Take it off.
I've heard other citizens talking about the same thing that you are, that there are dogs that are running loose.
And they're the same dog.
So does our current
Penalty in
ordinance allow us to
Chapter 55,
enforce
though.
that, to do something about it, the way it's current today?
About what? Loose dogs or the barking
The
dogs?
things you're complaining about, yes.
If you look at the
Yeah.
8,
If you want to keep ordinance 55, I still think we need to at least reference ordinance 55 in the proposed noise ordinance so that we have a penalty that's, can be imposed. There's no penalty imposed under chapter 55. We do have a penalty under the proposed noise ordinance. First offense, second offense, and subsequent offense.
Well, what is the rest of that, chapter 55? There might be a penalty at the end of that chapter that's already
You
in
have to go back.
place.
Is it on there? Okay.
why did that chapter come forward, 55?
Well, I think just because
They're connected.
it got kind of addressed in the noise one, so that it was just trying to, so there wasn't two different places that it was penalized, or trying to regulate that.
But why do we have to change it?
You don't have to change
But
anything.
why
You tell
why
me
are
what
we
you wanna do.
suggesting to change it?
I think because they want the noise thing. You can't sing anymore in public streets.
You don't have to change it to have that.
Don't change it, then.
5519.
Make a motion.
Remove the barking dogs from,
Misdemeanor. So the
Simple
penalty under,
misdemeanor.
the penalty under 55 is a simple misdemeanor, so I would still suggest, and we can bring back a revision for the second reading or first reading if you want to delay it. I still think we would be better off adding a penalty similar to what's found in the noise ordinance rather than just a simple misdemeanor.
So what you're saying, I believe, is that the way our current ordinance, chapter 55, is written, which basically addresses dogs and cats, or dog or cat, there's no penalty. Whereas under the
It's a
new
simple
ordinance we're
misdemeanor.
proposing, has some financial
A simple misdemeanor is a criminal, would be a criminal violation versus a civil violation with a penalty.
we want to connect them. We don't
So
want to make
it a
just 'cause
civil,
you're.
civil penalty with a fine rather than.
So what you're
a
saying
simple
is, I
misdemeanor.
think, is a barking dog, if you get fined, you should have a similar penalty for a dog barking too much as a motorcycle running too long.
Right.
Whereas the way if we don't do anything, there's no financial penalty for having the barking dog, but there would be one for a
Right.
motorcycle running too much. That's it, we're trying to connect.
You were creating a noise ordinance,
Yeah,
and then,
this is
so
a
you,
noise.
I don't know, you go there to talk about what noises are
Yeah.
bothering or a nuisance.
we might as well put my neighbor's parakeet in there because I can't stand the parakeet.
I'll do that.
We want to do all of this. Let's get nitty gritty.
A second.
Let's do the birds. Good God.
Would you like us to
I just don't
bring it
think
back,
you
or would you
connect
like
the
to
two.
go with the
Yeah,
first
we're
reading
gonna have
tonight?
to I think we need
as
to table
amended?
it and look it over again.
Would you prefer to table it then?
Let's table it.
Okay, I take.
We can
motion
make those
from-
written changes and bring it back.
Yeah.
The next
Yeah.
meeting.
I have a motion and a second.
Can I make a quick comment? I think there needs to be a few more exceptions added, like, any kind, I don't remember seeing anything about like lawn equipment, snow blowers, like some of those things that would last for more than 5 minutes, just to add some of those to the list.
There's something about
Garden tools,
Garden-
weed
I think
trimming,
the last one there was.
drones, swimming pools that run too loud, motors,
Well,
Otherwise,
I think we can tweak this to where it works, but the
I'm
way
gonna
this
need
works
more
now,
input.
you might as well just,
I'm gonna
stay
need
in the
more,
house.
I'm gonna need.
and don't sing.
Or Jesse's
don't
gonna
sing.
need more input on what you want, because
yeah. I think we need something, and I want something that Jesse can enforce, so I think you need the decibels in there.
right.
But not at these levels.
what levels?
I don't know if they're right, yeah.
Well, if talking covers everything, then we don't need that. You know? Come on.
Those were just some examples of what a decibel, what,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
That's not saying that you arrest somebody for talking.
I think, like.
You reference back, it does.
I'd like to use some examples how this comes out. Just speaking out of experience, officer gets called at 2 o'clock in the morning, it's people yelling and screaming outside, walking down the street, echoing off the houses, right? If basically right now, there's nothing an officer can do because they're talking, but it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Most people in our community are sleeping at that time.
Not me.
Most,
Yeah.
I'm up at 4, but I'm asleep at 2. But that's an example you have right there. Or you get a call to a home, they're playing the music too loud. They're vibrating to the doors, disturbing the neighbors right next door. Nothing, the officer says, well, there's nothing I can do. They have their music on too loud. You're right, I can hear it. The decibel would, normally during the day, you wouldn't have this problem, but then there's that officer. I've experienced this. Not much I can do, because we don't have a noise ordinance. But then that resident, our citizen is like, what are you guys here for? Well, we're just here to receive your complaint then, because there's nothing I can do.
So you're gonna stand there with the meter for 10 minutes, because that's what
Well,
this is.
that you may have to, if that's what's going on, but that's what's required. You get a barking dog complaint. So what do you think the officer's gonna do? He doesn't always just sit there and rely upon the citizen. Say, that officer's sitting there, Chief Hogan, am I right? You roll down the window of your squad car, you turn off your squad car, and you listen. And you're listening to see if that dog's barking, like as long as the neighbors are complaining about. And then that is just one more thing to justify the complaint that person's saying, is that dog's barking. Or you go by and there's nothing barking, or you go by and the dog may make a noise, a bark every 5 minutes, and nothing for 20 minutes,
Right,
So it's-
so you go to court, you arrest them, go to court.
No, you don't.
And you get thrown out because it's not
No,
for
you
5
don't,
minutes,
John.
it's 10 minutes.
No,
You write
because
it for what
you're
you
not
need it
going to
wrote
court
for.
because you just proved that the dog's not barking consistently like the complaint was.
Yeah.
You've got to show evidence, and so seeing this normally happens late at night when most of the time these complaints come out, and there's not much the officers can do.
At least gives you teeth. Maybe they'll stop just by you saying, hey, look, we've got a noise ordinance, and
Yeah.
You usually try that first, I would think, so.
Well,
yeah.
you normally knock on a door, but sometimes the people are not going to answer. Most of the times that happens in apartment complexes, and that normally should be handled by the apartment management, not the officers, because it's an internal thing.
I'm simply saying, write it as it needs to be wrote. Don't write it, cover a whole bunch of stuff that doesn't need, and say, oh, we're just gonna let it go, because it won't happen. There'll be somebody that will come and start enforcing it that wasn't intended to. So let's write it for what it's intended.
Kelly, I had one more.
That's all I'm asking.
Exception to make sure that gets put on there is something about like the school announcing, like the football announcers, those kind of things that'll go on for a long period of time.
baseball games.
Yeah, those were just
Crap, yeah.
the ones I thought that like we want to still happen.
Introduction.
They had fireworks too.
consistent, the track meets, that's a whole
Right.
3-4 hour fair,
School-
which is great. It's
School had
nice.
fireworks there, and that's a residential district. You want to make sure we address that. And speaking of fireworks, that new, the code that was up, or revised and passed, I haven't heard if the governor signed it yet. Basically, it's a free-for-all on July 3rd, 4th, and December 31st. So this will have no impact on that, just as an FYI. My understanding is with the fireworks is that we'll have some minimal ability from a public safety perspective to address things, people shooting fireworks directly at somebody else or at somebody's home or causing property damage. But other than that, it's essentially a free-for-all on the 3rd and 4th from a noise perspective. So just make sure you're aware of that.
Like outside of 250 feet or something, right, from a nothing?
Nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even gas?
No business districts, none of that's, it's all free-for-all. And so people lighting them off in the middle of the street where there's nothing we're gonna be able to do about it.
Yeah.
Not even in the parks or anything like that?
Nope.
Nice. Where's my complaint paper? I want to start.
Do I have a motion to
Table.
table this?
Yeah. And a second.
Second, okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion is tabled. Our last item of new business, first reading of an ordinance amending Chapter 55 related to noisy dogs or cats and disturbing the peace.
Make a
I
motion to
would simply
table.
table that.
Motion to table.
Support.
Motion to support. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion's tabled.
Can I ask Kelly why we removed number 2?
I don't know, we just talked about the, having 2 people sign a form. Is that
That's always been,
necessary? Is that happening? Does that happen? I don't know.
that has always been the reasoning, because, like I said, you could hate your neighbor hates you, and they'll file
Or
anything.
you have a neighbor, nobody else will complain about it, they continue to,
Well,
keep
it
doing
takes, that way it's not targeted.
whatever you guys want to do.
Okay.
Do you want to keep that one in, or do you want to modify it?
Well, we're tabling
Number
it.
2,
Table it, so.
one or more sign complaints, so it's not a single complaint that has to happen
I
on.
think we need to keep
dogs.
that in there.
On number 8,
Yeah,
we just tabled it, so we don't have to
I
do
know, but
anything.
I'm just saying.
She's wanting to know for next council
Future
meeting.
meeting.
Certainly, if you want to go in and talk to her,
Yeah.
go ahead and do that.
I say leave it the way it is. I don't,
All right, well, with that, I believe we have a closed session, so I need to have a motion to move into closed session.
Motion to
Mayor-
move into closed session.
I'm going to abstain from the closed session, so just maybe due to a conflict of interest,
Okay,
so.
all right. We're going into closed session in accordance with Iowa Code Section 21.51J to discuss the purchase of a particular real estate only where premature disclosure could be reasonably expected to increase the price of the governmental body would have to pay for that property. So I have a
I just
motion.
need a second.
Yeah, I need a second.
Second.
All right.
All
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We'll go into closed session in just
Give me 5 minutes.
5 minutes.